Hello sports fans, I'm Colonel Failure and this is the Colonel Reduced for November 2019. Yeah, you see, normally at that point we'd have the bombastic intro and I'd do a little dance thing in the background, right? But I'm midway through transitioning between editing software. Let's just adjust my microphone there. Software editing, yes, midway through a I haven't written any notes for this. Oh well, we'll see how the ball goes as we throw it. Editing software, transition between old Premiere Pro and new DaVinci Resolve. I edited my first video on it today, not a full one, just, matched up some sound, like I will do with this actually. Mashed up some sound with a bit of video, slung it out, seemed to be pretty good. What I was quite impressed with is, firstly, the speed at which you can scrub through unedited video is remarkable, and then secondly, the speed that it rendered out at. I was jolly impressed. So fingers crossed for that. What this will lead to is what I call version 9. Now we're currently enjoying version 8, which is the little channel bug that pops up at around the 20-30 second mark that tells people to subscribe. I'm moving that. That's going further out. Got a brand new bug done. Is it ready to put into this? Yeah, I think it might be. I'll try it. If it's ready, you'll see it appear now. Okay, all right, there we go. It does that. Might need a bit more work. It does this green glow thing at the start that I'm not convinced about, or I might have edited that out, or it was either there or it wasn't. So there you go. And then the bombastic intro will be getting a very minor tweak. Music staying the same. The flashcard, Colonel Failure, funny message, sloganator. That's staying the same, but I'm changing the transition at the end of it, and that's won't be noticeable by many. And then what else? The outro. I haven't come across. I haven't put together the template bit for the outro yet. Once I've got that, then we're good to go, and I can move over. Hold on, I'm not quite comfortable. There we go. I'm comfortable now. We'll crack on here in me high vis hoodie. So that's what's going on. That's why I haven't got an intro in this one. Instead, you have this extended dance remix of me rambling incoherently. Anyway, it's been a funny old month, by which I mean it's been a disappointing old month. We did, in total, stats, 289. Let's call it 290 because it's 289,992. So 290,000 views on the channel. Now, for small channels, that's pretty respectable, but I've got expectations that are set a little bit higher than that. So that is the lowest monthly total on the channel since, goes back a bit, is it that one? Yeah, it is. That is August 2018. Over a year. That's rubbish. Okay, yeah, that's just poor, and the reason it's been so poor is, well, it's quite obvious really. I haven't had the right content. The death of the Peninsula series hurt in terms of getting views for Transport Fever stuff. That it dropped by about a quarter overall, which is no good, which meant that the engine that keeps bringing things to the channel in the first place, keeps bringing people into the channel, keeps YouTube bouncing me high up the recommendations. The engine stalled a little, so fewer people were coming in, which meant that new stuff I was doing never picked up much traction. I stuck with a couple of series longer than I should have. Founder's Fortune I should have dumped earlier. If one's focus is on driving that engine forward, because here's the thing, right? If you don't YouTube, you probably don't know this, but views equal recommendations. The more times you get viewed, the more times you're going to be recommended to someone else. Caveat, only if a video view holds on to viewers for a decent chunk of time, and that decent chunk of time is anywhere in the kind of 11 to 12 minute range is very strong, or 50% plus of your video being watched. Now, on average, I get 15 to 16 minutes viewed, which is very, very good. That's a remarkable level of performance there. but that only equates to around 35 to 45% of a video view. So my minutes are really strong. The number of minutes viewed is what YouTube really likes. That's going very strongly indeed. But my niche is so narrow that I'm not breaking out and attracting new and fresh and dynamic and interesting audiences. Instead, I'm getting very niche but very engaged audiences, such as yourselves. Although your taste is more diverse than my general kind of viewing population. Otherwise, you wouldn't have backed the channel, right? You don't tend to back something if you just kind of go, I'm only a little bit interested. No, you tend to be generally interested and want to get a bit more stuck in with some of the fun and larks that we have if you decide to back the channel. So doing stuff like Founder's Fortune, I stuck with it because I was really enjoying it. There you go. There's nothing wrong with that. And people like yourselves, maybe not all of you, but most of you, I would imagine, quite happily watched the series that wasn't doing quite so well, because it is my sense of humour. It really tailored itself towards the way I like to play games, and that's what we all go looking for on a regular basis. That said, no, not that said. And then I moved into Surviving the Aftermath, which was covered by. Fell for the paradox, didn't I? Fell for the paradox trick, because I went for it because I went, oh, hold on, PDXCon is on, which means that all of their Hearts and Flowers favourite YouTubers are going to be at that. Maybe there'll be a window of opportunity. No, it turns out they'd given them the footage, they'd given them the game 2 weeks previous, and so they'd all pre-recorded. Now, I could easily, if I were to say, hey guys, how about you stick me in your Paradox Chums list, I'd probably get on that list. I'm of the size now that would probably tick that box. The thing is, there's nothing to be gained by covering anything from Paradox, unless you do so outside of their kind of big launch windows. If a game manages to hold on to an audience, if you take something like a Crusader Kings, for example, that's held its audience remarkably well. SimCity's done quite well, but what people view has shifted dynamically away from let's play into let's build something incredibly creative. And they've got good viewing audiences available to them, but that's the only place you're going to build an audience now. Covering a Paradox game at launch is a mug's effort, frankly, because you won't get there first, and therefore you won't get anything exclusive, and therefore you're just going to preach to your normal group of happy-go-lucky people. And I've got stuff that performs better if I'm preaching to my usual group of happy-go-lucky people. Why is this important? Why should you care? This is important and you should care because when I get to the point that I'm large enough to kind of self-support, then I can cover whatever I like, absolutely anything, and then I can go out in pursuit of stuff that you will find interesting or stuff that I think you might find interesting. And that's a level of creative freedom that at the moment I haven't quite got. What I definitely do need, and what this last month has kind of proved out, or I'd say actually the last 2 months, something in my eye, good, last 2 months has kind of proved out, is I need a B-series desperately. I desperately need a second regular stream of interesting stuff that appeals to more people. Bizarrely, Transport Fever keeps hooking new people in. I'd have thought I had them all by now, and some will have gone, and some are, but no, apparently it's still hooking new people, and that's lovely, thank you. But fundamentally, I'm trading on one game. Now this is the quarter now that we're in, or the month coming up, where doesn't matter, it's only one game. I'm going to do very nicely out of it. Now, I won't do quite as nicely, or my expectation is nowhere near hitting what I did last time round, because frankly, the competition is going to be way tougher. Last time out, it was pretty much just Slim Nasty and myself who were covering it at launch, and then Corrales played it, and Squirrel played it, and a couple of other, big, beefy channels. gave it a go, but because they hadn't got the dedicated audience sat there, what they basically did was they served as a good advert for my content, is because it was all, I hate calling it content, all my videos were recommended down the side of the video, so I scored quite nicely out of that. And the launch window for Transport Fever netted me 6,500 subscribers. Oh, that'd be nice. Ooh, wouldn't that be good? Yeah, it would be good. Anyway, on the subject of which, last month, 233 subscribers. Now, that really isn't good. 280... No, sorry, beg your pardon. 383, not 233. I've done 233 in November so far. And that's shot up a bit this week, because this has been a particularly fine week for reasons I shall come on to. October, 290,000 views, 383 subs, and that is the lowest since, keep going, 383. Oh my goodness me. That is the lowest, brace yourselves, since September 2016. That's lower than I have done since September 2016, which is the month before Transport Fever 1 launched. To say that my content was wrong, the game selection was misplaced, is a massive understatement there, and I think it's part down to I'm pivoting all over the place, and therefore series is what. There's two schools of thought, right? An excellent video will convert subscribers like nothing else. And I don't dedicate enough time to make excellent videos at the moment. If I did, well, you'd probably get 1 to 2 videos a week, but they would be of a far higher quality, and they'd be shorter. Because the one thing that I really don't do enough of that I should is editing. I do not cut down my incoherent rambling anywhere near as much as I should do. If I did, then the seconds elapsed to make someone chuckle a little bit would be significantly better. I reference, and I don't know if I've referenced it in a reduce before, but I reference Let's Game It Out, which if you're not subscribed to already, I won't hold it against you if you go and watch all of his stuff immediately back to back. Assuming, of course, his sense of humour appeals, but he is probably putting more effort into individual game videos than anybody else at the moment. He's up there with Soviet Womble in terms of the amount of time invested in putting a video together, and he's gone like grease lightning this year. He had about 4,000 subs when I caught him at the start of the year. He's now on 350,000, something like that. It's just bananas, but it's because he's made really funny videos. And his shtick, I'm looking up something else. I'm prepping for my next line of inquiry. And his shtick is entirely towards, let's destroy this game. And it really works. So I've done a collaboration with him, but he didn't bother putting it on his channel. And I'm not surprised, because even cutting it down, he'd be hard pressed to make that work. So I'm going to try and get an interview with him at some point, and I might put it up publicly and I might put it up privately, in which case all you guys can see it. Just on the subject of, what's your workflow? How do you go about figuring out a video? How much time do you invest in kind of preparing for the recording period? I'm pretty certain that 50% of the voiceover that he does is from when he's playing it, and 50% is from during editing, where he'll take what he probably said at the time and then re-record it. I'm almost certain that's the case, because some of his bits are very spontaneous in the sense that he clearly recorded that at the time, or he's faked it very well. And then he's put the rest in to maintain the narrative for each of his videos in during editing. It's very clever. Or rather, it's demonstrating an exceptionally well thought out workflow. But I don't doubt that he sinks probably 12 plus, probably plus hours into each 15-minute video that he puts out. So if you haven't seen it already, completely recommended. Very funny. What would I suggest as a good place to start? His Planet Zoo video is very good. In fact, all of the cooking simulator videos that he did were excellent, because I did mine. And I thought, that's some funny stuff you've done there, man. That's up there with the greats. And then he puts his out, and I just kind of go, blimey, I'm not even in the same ballpark. Could have been, had I cut down further and recorded more, I could have got to the funny better. But I think actually that my kind of gentler, slow-paced tone in terms of laughs, it works for people. I've just got to get it just a little bit less flabby, not by much. Just a little bit less flabby. I don't want to lose the character of the show. The character of the show is what makes me stand out from others, and the fully rambling nature of what I do helps me to stand out from other channels. But there are very distinct periods where nothing's going on, and I'm not saying anything that is in any way zesty whatsoever. And zesty is what we aspire to, friends. So yes, there we go. That will sum up October. It was crap. Right. Yeah, no, I did. What else did I put out in October? I must have put something else out. October. That one. Thank you. I'll just we'll just do a quick review of what videos actually came out in October. So we start here. Okay, we start the month with Radio Commander. That's done 9,000 views now. That's good. What else have we got there? Well, that's a 10,000er. It's one of the last peninsulas. You see, that was going quite nicely. Did a Train Sim World that's only done 5,000. That's poor. Then you've got a big block of 2,000s. Chuck them in a wood chipper, man. They're no good to you at all. Yeah, just poor video selection all round. That it was a short month doesn't hurt either. So I record my stats on every Sunday. Which means that some months have 4 weeks in, some months have 5 weeks in. So that was a 4-week month that was poor in terms of performance anyway. Oh, flipping out, that one did 1,000. What was that? Workers RS Part 2? That must have come out late on a Saturday. In fact, I bet it came out late on a Saturday. So Workers and Resources is back, and it's doing all right. That's going okay. It's doing, 5,000 a week. That's wood chipper proof right there. Transport Fever, when I put them out, is doing its usual kind of 6,000. Also wood chipper proof. That's exactly the kind of stuff that we want to be putting out. Basically, the wood chipper kicks in if after a week a video hasn't done 10% of my subscriber numbers. Surviving the Republic, then, surviving the aftermath. There's a thing. Tends to do 2,500 views, excuse me, in the first week. Throw it out. Now, there is part of me that says, don't throw it out, keep it going. And keep it going long term as well. It's a paradox game. They're going to keep throwing stuff at that until they decide it's really not worth doing. Look at Surviving Mars as an example. Over the first year that it was released, 2 expansions, which get tons of press everywhere. They give keys out to all of their favourite tubists, and as a result, if you happen to be the biggest tubist who is related to that video, which you would be if you were to persist in covering that game continuously, then you will get a nice big upsurge every time it gets new news or enters the sale. Let's not forget, it's only on Epic at the moment. And there are quite a few people out there, for one reason or another, who decide, I'm not going to shop with Epic. I'm not going to go into that. That's your choice. That's up to you. I happen to disagree with it, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Go on. You can have a comment in the comments if you want to, but I'll fight back, and I'm right. So at some point it's going to launch on Steam, and that'll be a nice big reheat. So if you'd built up, say, 50, 60 episodes in a series that was ongoing by the time that kind of spins around, there's an audience payday waiting to happen at that point, assuming they found a game that's fun to play by the time they release then. Yeah, it's paradox. There's a good chance that that's going to be the case. But, you're only as good as your last hit, so who knows for sure? I don't know for sure. But that's a big investment, you see. That's you know, 1 day of the week, 2 days of the week that is going to underperform from now to, what, 6 months from now, a year from now, when it releases on a broader platform, or when it's got expansions coming out and that kind of stuff. It's a gamble, and it's a time sink of a gamble as well. But I need a B series. Now, Soviet Republic. I quite like Soviet Republic. The episode that I've got recorded but not edited yet is actually quite good. Not in the sense of it's ho 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 funny, although I'm sure I drop, you know, a relatively witty line in there once in a while. But it's quite good because I get quite a lot done, and it's thought out and planned through, and therefore it's quite effective, which should keep the hostility of the comments down to a low murmur. Which would make a change. Actually, they haven't been too bad at all this time around. After you lot, bless you, you all jumped on anybody who was negative in any way at all in the first couple of episodes. You go, don't jump up. If you want him to cover it, don't yell at him. He's fragile. He's a gentle individual, and therefore... So, yeah, you're all very lovely. Let them make their nasty comments if they want to. I'll handle them with a sarcastic put down. And that'll leave them reeling. Or I'll just turn the series off again and they can get stuffed. Regardless. So yeah, it's doing decent numbers at the moment. Are they the kind that I was hoping for? They're not quite there. So I mean, this week I've taken 3 days. Do 3 days with no videos, something like that, because I am transitioning, and the whole reason for that, to tie back to the start of this video, is that I stupidly hit the upgrade button on Premiere Pro, and it broke badly. And I've managed to revert it to the old version, and even that's running very poorly now. But as a result of that revert, I can do an emergency edit, which brings us nicely on to, well, gosh, isn't this week going well? And I need to put an edit in right here. So yes, this week started last Friday. So Friday the 8th of November. All of a sudden my traffic started picking up, and it started picking up really quite amazingly, actually. Started doing gangbusters views, as we call it in the trade. And it started going up because of my Transport Fever 2 preview video. You know, the one with me on a train doing that kind of adventure type business. Where's the number from last week? There we go. So last week, that video, which came out in July, did 10,000 views. And that's between Friday and Sunday. That's beefcake numbers right there, people. If every video did that, I'd be well on my way. Now, I'm going to tell you why it did those numbers. All right? Are you ready? You're not allowed to tell anyone else. All right? This is between us, because it's not a good reason. The reason it started doing those numbers, normally you'd get that kind of uptick if the press had done a preview, or there was a big announcement, or any one of those things, right? Being as I am the most heavily searched channel for Transport Fever, I tend to do quite well out of those things. That I have the most in-depth English language preview of the game also plays in my favour. Anyway, last Friday, the reason I came up in search is because someone leaked a copy of the beta onto Pirate Bay, and people have been stealing it ever since. So they're all looking up any information they can get on it whatsoever, which is leading them to me. Now that's just low, because the way they got hold of that build is that someone who got into the beta, then uploading it onto a piracy setup, and you just kind of go, what kind of scum are you, honestly? I understand it when it's, you know, some gigantic mega corporation, but this is, you know, it's a dozen lads working in flipping Switzerland, and you are directly affecting their ability to actually publicise the game. I know it's none of you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking in a general sense, right? I don't think one of you done the do. But, you know, there you go. So I spoke to Tom at Urban Games, and he was just like, there's nothing we can do about it. So any footage that has leaked out since that point, and I wouldn't bother going to look at it either. Go search it if you feel like it. There are videos up there. Urban are doing their best job to smack down every video the second it appears. But the videos, they're not very good. Fundamentally, nobody respectable would put their name against such things. But yeah, there you go. So they're releasing odds and sods from the game already. The Reddit is setting fire to anybody who posts that kind of stuff up, which is that's an admirable way to go. Urban Games look after the Steam forum, so that's being dealt with accordingly at the same time. But it's just a low life thing to do. You don't have a right to play video games. That's not written in any constitution anywhere, any more than it's written in a constitution that I can have a Ferrari. I don't want one, for starters, but even if I did, it's not a right. I have to go pay for it. Them's the rules. Or I can go to a Ferrari dealership and they'll give me a test drive if I demonstrate I've got enough cash. Or if I happen to run a Ferrari-dedicated YouTube channel and build up a relatively large audience, they'll go like, how would you like to come to our test drive day? And that's how it works. If you put in the work, they will invite you along to things. Do the work, build up an audience, you get to go to fun stuff. That's how it works. I've done this from the other side, The only big difference I noticed between, because obviously as someone who's worked with communities for years and years and years and years, I used to do all of the who do we invite into the beta, who do we invite over to the press day and stuff like that. And the big difference between my approach and everybody else's was I always tried to bring along a handful of really super enthusiastic but not quite built an audience yet people. Now, there don't tend to be many of those. Lots of people try it, but quite often they're not very good. They haven't quite found their tone yet, or they haven't quite found an X factor that makes them engaging. But I would actively look for, they might be quite big in a couple of years, they've got something going on that might get them places. So I would invite people with 500 subs in amongst the people with 1 million, because it encourages the right kind of people to kind of go, stick with it. Come on, yeah. You'll get there. You're not there yet, but you will get there. Much of it comes down to developing a tone of voice that is listenable to. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm blessed with vocal cords that give me a bit of a head start on that on that front. But I can't put a coherent sentence together. But I cover all of that with 30 years worth of assimilated pop culture, which for some reason I memorise loads of it and therefore recombine it, spew it back out again. A couple of people get the reference. A couple of people don't spot that I nicked the joke. It all just kind of works. But you can get away with not having any of that kind of aren't you lucky you've got this kind of talent, and instead do it with skillful editing and just an eye for stuff, and that just takes practice and effort and all of that kind of jazz. Right, yeah. So yeah, Transport Fever 2 is going to be big. I think that's where I got started on that massive tangent. Yeah, it's going to do wonders for the channel. It will certainly generate a whole bunch of views for me. That's the Transport Fever 2 preview. This week has been rather good. We'll come back to Transport Fever 2 in a minute. This is why I usually write notes, and why I should chastise myself for not having them this time round. This week has been rather good. Firstly, the engine that is the Transport 2 Fever preview for Transport Fever 2, still chugging along quite merrily. It's not going quite as fast as it was last week, but it is still going chug, 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 chug. Getting good views from that all the time. But yesterday, on Wednesday, so 2 days ago, I'm really hoping I get this out tonight. Instead, this is Friday. On Wednesday, the devs got in touch with me for Automation Empire and go, here's your key. And I reached out to them as soon as I heard about it and go, fellas, want to cover the game? Send me a key, send me a key. Now, it looks like that it was that they sent keys in the first wave to me, Raptor, Catherine of Sky, and Skystorm. Not noticed anybody else yet. I imagine there's a few more out there. Raptor jumped on it immediately. He didn't wait, went straight in, mash. Yeah, absolutely. He went for a live stream straight away and got a good chunk of views. Mind you, he's got 500,000 subs. He's going to get a chunk of views no matter what. I was second to the party, and I went like, second to the party is good enough. I beat Catherine. That's good, because Catherine's going to rule that town. There's no two ways about it. Catherine's going to utterly dominate. Sky, if he sticks with it, he might do quite well. But Catherine is the king of all, queen I should say probably, king and queen of all things Factorio. So it's going to be an interesting race. I'm not going to win it. I've got no chance, but I'm going to stick it out for a bit because it's going gangbusters. But that's done 10,000 views overnight. Yes, that's more flipping like it. That's what we want to see. That's the kind of numbers that we need. And here's where this all becomes relevant: is building up a head of steam on my channel means that all the videos I've ever done get recommended out against other people's videos, and the majority of my traffic comes from those recommendations. When you're smaller, the majority of your traffic almost invariably comes from search features. So people who are searching for a particular topic stumble across your video, brings them all in. When you start hitting recommendeds, then you know you're going places because you are being spotted against other people's stuff. And that's how you get new subs, is that you get people from being recommended. And obviously, the larger your channel gets, the more recommended you get, right? So there's a self-reinforcing thing going on in there as well. YouTube's algorithm will give everybody a bit of a bump up to start with. So let's say this is your normal level. We're treading on some early kernel school stuff here, but you know, this is worth knowing. So let's say this is your baseline, right? Going along there like that. That's how many views you will do on an average day based on your current performance and subscriber level and all that kind of stuff. And your recommendations on other people's videos are based on this baseline. Now, you go and stick out a new video, and YouTube will immediately treat it as though it's up there, right? A little bit higher. And it does that for 72 hours, at which point it drifts it to how has it performed so far. So if in those first 72 hours you can make it go, oh, right, okay, oh, well, we're even higher than it was where they stuck us, then YouTube will go, right, okay, well, we'll stick you up there because clearly you're going places. And it will continue to escalate how much you're promoted on a continuous basis until you kind of top out in terms of the number of people that click through, the number of people that watch, how long they watch for. Now that happens on a per video basis, but it also happens on a channel basis. So if your whole channel is serving up a big chunk of views like that, it kind of goes, right, so we'll add this into the equation we stick together for how much we should recommend videos coming from that channel. So the better your channel's doing, the more you get recommended. And the more you get recommended, what you'll notice anytime you have a video that goes bananas, goes really strongly, you'll find all of a sudden that even your old videos have picked up a ton of views over the same period. I mean, we're not talking like thousands, we're talking, let's say 5 times as much as they would do normally. And this is what drove my madness growth period during the launch of Transport Fever. And I've had a couple of little flirtations of decent peaks since then, but nothing like as big as original Transport Fever. And it's because 1 or 2 good videos uplifts your entire channel. And that effect lasts for a couple of weeks afterwards. So you get strong uplift during that period because the algorithm listens and kind of goes like, they're on the move. Which is why one good video, it's how a channel like Josh's, so let's game it out, it's how a channel like his can go from 4,000 to 300,000. In fact, it's not 300,000, it's like 180 or something. I should look it up, but it's a lot. It's how it can get so big so quickly is because it really is outperforming the expectations of the algorithm significantly. So it's going, well, let's give him a bit more of a chance. Oh, flipping heck, he's beating that as well. Keep pushing. And eventually he reaches the kind of resting place that he gets to. But at the moment, he's doing 250,000 views a video. Marvellous. I've never had a video hit 250,000, In fact, last week, we've had the first new entry into the 100,000 plus club in quite some time. Yes, indeed. Well, there you go. The press tour video is now, well, last Sunday was at 102,000 views. Very nice, having done 10,000 in the previous week. So, but that's only the 5th video I've ever had out of 1,800-ish. In fact, 2,000-ish. In fact, can't remember. Don't know. How many have I put publicly? It says 1,677, but that's not true. It's more than that. Anywho, it's a lot. Yeah, so like, you know, over 1,500 videos I've done, and I've only got 5 that have done over 100,000. I've mentioned this before, but I see this as a good thing. And I see it as a good thing because it means I've not had a smash hit yet. Just not had one. To put this into some context, number 6 in that high score list is Autonauts Part 1. Remember that? Little 3-parter that I did, the first one went completely bananas. And that was because I was the very first person in the world to actually record it. And I had it 3 days, maybe a week before anybody else. So by the time anybody else put out a video, I'd locked that search mechanic down. So anybody who went looking for more on the same came stumbling into my stuff. I think I got like 400 subs out of that, something like that. Well worth it. So that's general kind of channel uplift that happens as a result of such things. So the fact that I got out there nice and early with Automation Empire, that will start to keep my numbers up. But it means that I now need to really start ramping up my numbers as much as I can in the run-up to when I'm allowed to release videos on Transport Fever 2. There are at least 3-4 other channels in there with me who I know will go immediately, in the beta that is, and that's before you get to all the people that are submitting requests for keys, and that's before all the people that will be given press keys to go out at the same time. Competition is going to be rife. So yeah, I mean, I'll do well purely because people who've watched my stuff in the past and quite liked it will come back and watch it again. So I'll get nice big views and it'll be a nice fat channel uplift. But the aim is, what if I can start to generate a fat channel uplift before that happens, and then that comes in and reinforces it further. If I do this brilliantly, and if my videos are of a much, much higher standard, my Transport Fever 2 videos, when they come out, if they're of a much higher standard to my normal fare, which means, think it through a little bit more. It doesn't mean, you know, speed builds or slow it down or anything like that. It means if I've thought it through properly and I've polished it and edited it really well with all the early stuff I do, 100,000 subs is very possible. And I'm not exaggerating. It's very, very possible indeed. But I have got to be focused, and I've got to be not umming and ahhing as much as I usually do, and I've got to be funny, and the edit's got to be in there. I think it's unrealistic. Well, I'll be happy if I pass 50,000, and as of an hour ago, I hit 45,000. That's quite a realistic expectation. 50,000 by the end of the year. I've spoken about it all year. That would be absolutely super. More would be more super. And here's why. This is what I called up earlier, you see. A minor piece of preparation. So I'm now looking... excuse me. I'm now looking at a tool called vidIQ. Now, vidIQ is largely rubbish. You don't need it, but it does provide you with a little bit of extra information. And one of the things that it gives you is the ability to track competing channels. So you decide who those competing channels are. It doesn't tell you who your competition is. No. You have to figure that out for yourself. But here's my list. On here, I've got Skystorm. Unsurprising. Air Force Proud 95. He's not competing with me, and we're in totally different streams, but I'm keeping an eye on him just so I can see how his performance is going. I've got Biffa in there. I've got Raptor. Laserjet. I have no idea how he's got more subs than me. Only by like a couple of thousand, but he does racing videos in Train Sim. I get it. I can see that. But he's got 47,000 off 480 videos. I got 45,000 off 1,800 videos. I can't say that I just need to make better videos, can I? I can't just say that. I've got Stegs in there, even though his channel is silent at the moment. I've got Conflict Nerd, Favignano Live, who is another flight sim guy. I've got Nookrium. Nookrium I've got in there because he launched his channel on the exact same day as me. He's currently beating me. That's hardly surprising. Everybody's beating you, dude. He's got 67,000 subs, which is very respectable, but his entire methodology is nothing but indie games all the time. New indie game every day, pretty much. He's also done over 3,000 videos. So he's using very much a brute force method, as is Catherine of Sky, who's also on this list. But someone who isn't, Squirrel is not. He's also on the list. And then I've got Arumba and Quill18 and Arvac, right? Now, that's my list of competing channels. I'm probably missing some that are more directly competing. But what I'm looking for is what's their growth curve looking like? How are they performing on the basis of how strong they are at the moment? And it has to be said, right now, I'm underperforming. Actually, it's picked up in the last day. So I'm currently, for the past month, I'm at plus 3% on my views. It doesn't sound like much, does it? But Skystorm's at 2%, Squirrel's at 1.5%, Quill's at 0.99%, Catherine is at 4%, Nookrium's at 4%, Laserjet's at 3.5%. Yeah, there's a lot in there. I think Biffa was on a tear last time I had a look. So look here. Yeah, he's at 5%. He's at 5% right now. That's phenomenal bit of growth going on there, given how big he is anyway. But for those of you who don't follow Biffa's stuff, he pivoted his content recently. He found something that worked and has then just gone more of that, more of that, more of that, more of that, and it's working really well for him. I spoke to him I spoke to him a month and a half ago, I think, and he said, Let's Play's done, just forget it. Don't know, you're never going to get big doing Let's Play. You should be doing focused, individual What's It videos, on a topic that is going to bring people back as often as possible. Have to say he's not wrong, but that's okay. Anyhow, what are we looking at? So right now, what's this chart here? Total what? Views. Right. Calm it down a little bit and speak again. Now this comes back to once I pivot to the point that, once I build to the point that I've got enough of an audience, then I can do what I like. So right now I do 780,000 views over what period? Oh, that's over 2 months, over a 60-day period, right? 780,000 views. Now that's off 2 not very good months. I'm usually up a little bit higher than that, but that's still a fair number. In the same period, I've only got another 6 people selected off my competing list. But let's go. Laserjet's done 1.5 million, double what mine has done. Nookrium has done 2 million, so double and a half. Skystorm has done 2.5 million. Catherine of Sky has done 2 million. Squirrel's done 4 million. And then Biffa has done... No, that's Quill. I beg your pardon. I like to track Quill because he's the epitome of completely low effort. A lot of it, but very low effort. Anyway, Quill's done 5.5 million views in the same period that I've done 760. Now, the reason this number is of any interest at all is because I can extrapolate. Okay, so if they've got ads on their videos and their individual videos perform ad-wise about as well as mine do, how much are they making from ads? And the fact is that, you take Catherine of Sky, for example, she's doing 2.5 times the amount that I'm doing from ads. Well, that equates to somewhere in the region of an extra $600 to $1,000 a month. You know how close that gets me to my goal? It's really, really close. So it's, that's not to be sniffed at. And then you look at someone like, Sky's doing 2.5 million views in the same period. And that takes me well over my kind of goal line there. So I need to focus on, as I have been doing, just getting bigger and better and stronger and faster and and I haven't found it yet. That's the really joyous thing, is that I haven't found the thing that's going to bring all the boys to my yard. I've found one thing that does pretty well. I think continued focus on trains is a definite winner. Train Sim and Train Sim World, they do really well. The Ciselva line video that I did a week and a half ago, I really enjoyed doing it, which is unusual. Usually I find it tolerable. But I really enjoyed doing it, and there were some generally funny moments in there, and I had quite a few comments saying, "This is one of the best ones of these you've done, you know." That's really good. To kind of go, you know what, there is some level of improvement going on in things, then that's quite, you know, it's reassuring. Right, quick restart of this, and then we'll finish up. So let's turn our attention to Stellaris, right? Now, Stellaris, I did one video on, and it was very experimental. Very, very, very experimental. How did it do for views? Complete garbage. Forget it. That's not the reason for doing it. The reason for doing it is because one of my long-held suppositions is that there is a gargantuan audience out there waiting for someone to play a 4X game, so something like Civilization or Crusader Kings or Stellaris, in a way that actually makes it fun to watch. Now, you might have someone whose commentary is pretty reasonable, but you're not going to sit there like this, just watching it going. This is what Biffa means when he says "Let's Play's dead." Your videos have to provide more to it than just sat there blankly watching it. You've got to entertain a little bit, or you've got to show off something that is inspiring. This is what the City Skylines people are doing, the successful ones. They're all building stuff that is just, when you look at it, you just kind of go like, man, I want to have a go at making that. That's amazing. Now, they put a hell of a lot of effort into putting those out. But that's what it takes now, right? It's no longer good enough to just hammer something together and with a little bit of natural flair, you'll go, hey, I'm amazing. No, it won't do it. I think you take a channel like Quill, who I know I've picked on many, many times, but equally Skystorm, they're kind of last of a dying breed, really, is that they don't do much effort other than their natural kind of enthusiasm for the game and their personality coming through and generally being quite appealing to listen to. But they're not going above and beyond in what they're putting together at all. They might be quite skilled at the gameplay and so forth, but they're not getting any, they've got no X factor, right? So I think I've got a better chance, he says, of hitting 500,000, say, subscribers than either of those two guys. How many's Quill got at the moment? He's got 560,000. You might want to retract that statement. I've got a better chance of hitting 1 million subscribers than those two guys if I double down and focus, because I've got a halfway decent critical eye. But everything comes down to, what's the topic? What's your angle there, fella? You get the right angle and you're off to the races. No angle or wrong angle and you're not going anywhere. So I'm not looking for a radical change. What I'm looking for is to find the format, find the thing that makes it sing, or play the game that reaches the audience that will really like what I do. Herself constantly says, go and play The Sims. Right. Now, because I've played The Sims quite a lot, and therefore the kind of activities I get up to with The Sims is, well, I don't need to tell you. You can guess the kind of stuff that I get up to with them. But it's different to how everybody else does it, because you've got the polarized situation. If you've got the people that go pure deviant with it, where they're just trying to make The Sims as miserable as possible, they deliberately create torture houses or whatever. Don't know why I'm wheezing, which is quite funny in isolation, but for a long-term view, you see, you're only going to get a finite number of views out of, or finite number of videos out of that approach. And then you've got the people who do it properly. Right, I am going to have to take a moment. A proper frog in one's throat there. Yes, but then you've got the people who play it properly, or play it with a narrative kind of lean to it. And that's a very different audience to the one that I have. But the way that I do games with small characters involved in it, I think will play quite well with the people who like watching the people playing it properly, and at the same time, once in a while, go to the dark side and dabble with the people that are just ruining Sims' lives. She has a very good point. The only downside is that The Sims is ancient. I mean, positively ancient by this point. And therefore, the viewing audience has gone from its peak of up here, whatever that number may be, and it's now down to the kind of bubbling away audience at the bottom, right? So there's no real hay to be made. I shall keep fishing around and I'll find it. But I think actually the way to pivot is away from games where there is an obvious way to do it properly. It's why I do well with Transport Fever, is because, yeah, there is a way that you can do things better, but there is no right or wrong. Line's making profit, it's good enough. Yeah, you just keep going, keep going with it, and you're telling a story while this is happening, and that's where, that's where I maybe stand out a little from the crowd, is that I'm a storyteller. I make stuff up, and I talk to myself and have conversations with myself and all that kind of business. It's a little bit unhinged, but it makes people chuckle occasionally, and that's where the strength of the thing is. But you look at the videos I've done for Tourist Bus or Cooking Simulator or Thief Simulator, and all of those, I've got no intention of playing this for very long. But we'll see what we get out of it, where I just let madness reign, where my lack of expertise allows me to off the cuff every couple of minutes, and it just comes up really nicely. Anyway, I'm talking about myself an awful lot. You always talk about yourself an awful lot. Oh yeah, there is that. So the other thing that I've done is, for the last couple of weeks, I've stuck out 2 videos publicly on a Sunday, as well as the one privately. Now, I can keep up with that, providing I don't have interruptions in schedule, such as your editing software exploding during the week, because it occurred to me, well, if what you're after is traffic velocity to your channel, then take series that you like recording that nobody watches and do enough of them that you pass the wood chipper test. And that's what I've been doing. Thoroughly enjoying doing baseball again. Yeah, I think there was patchy commentary in both part 1 and part 2, but there were high points of commentary in both of those as well. I've just got to be careful not to repeat myself too much, because it gets a bit, yeah, that's what you always say in this moment. Oh, he's really got a piece of that one, or he's fed that one the beans, or the stuff that I say. All those words, them. And I've also been covering a bit of Minecraft. I'm not playing anywhere near as much of it as I want to. I've got a build that's a third done, and I've got loads more that I need to do with it. And every time I turn up there, someone has polluted my base. You know who you are. Pack it in. You're very generous, but not right now. Thank you. I will appeal when I need my base filling with bees. I said once, when the server was a couple of days old, oh yeah, I'll look into doing bees at some point. And since then, I've had people dropping flipping beehives all over the place. Last time I was in there, the entire floor was carpeted with small boxes with bees in them. You just kind of go like, yeah, I'm not there yet. Stop throwing your bees at me. Anyway, very generous. It's like the terracotta thing I mentioned. I'm building this chimney out of terracotta. And now I've got 87,000 terracotta in a box outside, despite the fact it's parked next to the chimney that is finished. And it's obviously generosity of people. But I feel like Mickey Mouse surrounded by brooms who are just bringing me endless buckets of water. Good. Right, what else have I got to talk about? Minecraft, still going strong. It's going very nicely. The server is... It will reboot itself once or twice a day, but that comes with the territory. When you're running this many mods, there is going to be some level of instability in there. I can't rule out actually that the server hosts haven't just got an auto reboot on there as well, because it's not always apparent that someone has done something mad with a mod to make it go kablooey. So if you want to jump in, you're heartily recommend to do so. And if you've never played Minecraft before, it's a doddle. If you've played any first-person game at any point in your life, you know what you're doing. WASD. If you know what that means, you know what you're doing. Then you destroy some blocks, you put them down somewhere else and build something spectacular out of it. Or more likely, you build something lackluster out of it to start with and then start reading Wikipedia a lot to learn how to play the thing. Everyone on that server is jolly, jolly helpful. And they are very friendly and will give you any guidance and or materials you need to start off with. Especially if it's one of those rare occasions when I'm on. What else? Sports Ball. Right. The Electro Sports Football League is coming to the end of its sixth season, I think. And we're going to have a couple of openings for new managers soon. So if you either like American football or have played a sports manager of some kind in the past and rather enjoyed it, sign up for Sports Ball. It's friendly. There are no more completely wrecked teams. I've taken over the worst one in the league, and it really was in quite a rum shape. But yeah, you're more than welcome to join. People are stupendously helpful. They will bend over backwards to give you all the advice you need, and it's jolly sociable and good fun. Swing into the Discord, which if you're not in the Discord already, get in the Discord. And then when you turn up, you kind of go, well, it doesn't seem to be much going on here. It's because we're granting you permission to access all of the bits with the stuff going on. But what we find is people sign up and go, hi, I signed up. And that's the last time we see them. Come back once in a while and join in the conversation. And then you can decide whether actually that conversation isn't for me. And you'll probably find actually the conversation is for you, and that you get told off by your significant other for spending a lot of time talking to random people about video games on the internet. Although we've got video games, we've got dad jokes. There's a couple of people that do nothing but dad jokes in the main channel. Whatever. And then individual games have got channels dedicated to them. If you've got tech problems at the moment, we've got a tech support channel where people help you. My computer's making a funny noise. Oh, have you tried kicking it? Quality tech support we've got going on in there. Whatever. What else? Anybody who does a stream or has a video channel, we've got one called Promote Anything. So if you're a mod maker or I don't know, maybe you sell t-shirts or anything like that, everyone's welcome. Promote Anything is welcome in that channel, and some people will go check it out for you. Anything else of here's stuff you should be doing but aren't fashion. Prison Architect, I'm enjoying it, obviously. I enjoyed it first time around, but nobody watched it. And I never went back. It's out of control, but I'm enjoying it anyway, which is good. You're all going to go, oh, you shouldn't be doing it like that. And I'll go, how many hours have you played? You'll go, oh, 220. I'll go, yeah, I played 7. So shut up. Yeah, your unsolicited advice is just likely to get me. If I ignore a comment with advice in there, that is basically me away from the camera going, do not care, just don't. I'm not bothered. I'm just don't. But I welcome people putting out their unsolicited advice, because I feel like they're exorcising the demons that have sprung up by having to witness someone fouling it up so dramatically. It's fine. You be as critical as you please there, my friends. And if I don't reply, it's because I don't care. Right. If I do reply, it's because I found it funny and or helpful. Or because I felt you needed a comment that says, like, this is a really good piece of advice. There is absolutely no chance I'll remember it. But, keep them coming. Right, there you go. That'll do for today. Now I've just got to figure out how to edit all of this together, and then we'll be going places. Which places are we going to, I hear you cry. It's very hard to tell. So, just to finish off, Stellaris on hold for the moment, because Transport Fever's coming up, and I need to be ready. City Skylines, I mentioned it tons and tons and tons. Stellaris is the prototype for what I want to do with City Skylines. You might pick up kind of vaguely what I want to do with it, but not exactly. I've got something in here that I can see in my mind's eye that I want to be able to put onto the screen. It's just a stupid amount of work, but I happen to think that if I get it right, there's 1 million views in that video. That's a big number, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely, and therefore it's worth getting right. And maybe I only do one. Maybe I only do one. Interesting. Oh, maybe I only do one. Don't try and make a series out of it. Do a really, 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 really good video and then walk away. And then if people just kind of go, please do another one, then you kind of go, all right, let's churn up some fresh ideas. And then in a month and a half, you can have another one. Interesting idea. Anyway, normal service should resume by the start of next week. There will be videos over this weekend. I can't stay on downtime any longer. But regular service will be resuming. I've just got to finish my template, and then we're off to the races. While I get things wrong quite a lot. Anyway, I've been Colonel Failure. Thank you for your support. You are absolutely flipping marvellous, and I'll talk to you wherever I do. Cheerio.